The unforgivable curses are the worst spells that a witch or wizard can conjure. The Imperious curse completely eliminates free will, making the victim do anything they're told by the person who casts it. The Cruciatus curse causes unthinkable pain to the victim, making every cell in their body feel like it's going to explode. And then of course the Killing curse, causing instant death with absolutely no defense. Apart from a mother's sacrifice, of course. But who created these unforgivable curses? Where did they come from? And why do such awful curses even exist? Let's try and answer those questions. Now look, it's important to establish there is no absolute right answer to this question. We can read all the books and the extra information that's out there, but there's no definitive piece of information that says where these curses came from or who made them. But there is enough information to put together some quite strong theories. For example, we know these curses first came around in the Middle Ages, and we also know that during the Middle Ages there was a lot of turmoil between wizards and muggles. So there's a good chance the unforgivable curses were created to be used as a weapon against the muggles. But there's nothing definitive that even says all three unforgivable curses were made by the same person, which brings us on to our first theory. So we know the Peveril brothers were three very strong wizards who lived around the time of the Middle Ages, and we also know they pushed the boundaries of magic while they were alive. Now the story of death giving the three brothers the Deathly Hallows is likely to be a fairy tale. What's more probable is that they made those things themselves, as Dumbledore says to Harry at King's Cross. So if the three brothers can create powerful magical items as strong as the Deathly Hallows, who's to say they can't create powerful magical curses as powerful as the unforgivable curses? We know that Antioch, the first brother, wanted to be the most powerful wizard of all time, and so he created the Elder Wand, a wand that's supposed to be undefeatable. So it stands to reason then that the first brother would create an unblockable spell that no wizard could defend against. A curse so strong he could never lose any duel. The Killing curse we know cannot be blocked or defended, and so Antioch creating the Killing curse fits his story really well. Cadmus, the second brother, was a famously tortured soul after he loses the love of his life, and in creating the Resurrection Stone, bringing her back from the dead, the story suggests that she became tortured, for she did not belong in this world. A life so full of pain and torture would make him the perfect candidate to create the Cruciatus curse, which would literally torture others. Perhaps one day he felt bitter and wanted other people to feel the pain that he felt, and so he creates the Cruciatus curse, and they start to understand his pain. And that leaves Ignotus, the third brother, creator of the ultimate invisibility cloak that Harry ends up with. We know the third brother didn't want to be seen or found. He didn't want to be discovered. And so he could absolutely have made the Imperious curse. It would allow him to control anybody who might come too close, who might discover him, and he can move them away, move them in the other direction, have them distracted by something momentarily. In the Goblet of Fire, when Harry experiences the Imperious curse, it's said that his head was filled with this calm kind of silence. And then he started hearing Moody's voice with all these suggestions. The Imperious curse, though it can make people do awful things, isn't inherently of itself cruel or painful. And neither was the third brother. He just wanted a quiet life, and creating the Imperious curse to have people leave him alone fits his story perfectly. So the three brothers could well have made the unforgivable curses, but so could some other dark wizards, like HERPO the Foul. So HERPO the Foul was a very dark wizard. In a lot of ways, he paved the way for Voldemort to become the evil dark wizard that he'd become. HERPO the Foul was the first person to create a Horcrux. He was the first person to hatch a basilisk egg, and he spoke Parseltongue so he could control the basilisk. Additionally, HERPO the Foul's Chocolate Frog card says that he created many vile curses. So a wizard that evil, who experimented with such severe aspects of dark magic, could absolutely create the unforgivable curses. Especially since HERPO the Foul would be the first wizard to achieve any sort of immortality with his Horcrux. He would have had all the time he needed to perfect these curses, to make them unblockable, refine them to be as awful as he wanted, and ultimately turn them into the Imperio, Crucio, and Avada Kedavra curses that we know from the Harry Potter series. There's a chance, of course, that these curses weren't created by any evil, dark wizards or witches at all. There's a chance that like many things, they were created with good intentions at first. The Cruciatus Curse, for example, could have been created by healers. And you might be wondering, why would healers create a torture curse? Well, the description of the Cruciatus Curse is very similar, actually, to the description of somebody being electrocuted. Harry experienced pain spreading through his body as though his very bones were on fire. In fact, in the Goblet of Fire movie, when Voldemort first casts Crucio on Harry, they use the sounds of electric and lightning. And so with that comparison in mind, the Cruciatus Curse could well have been an early magical version of the defibrillator, the thing doctors use to shock you when your heart stops. The healers could have used it similarly to sending a sharp bolt of electricity through a patient's body when their heart stops, to give it a little kick to restart. On the flip side, the Avada Kedavra curse, in which a person dies instantly and painlessly, well, it could be seen as a merciful way to end somebody's suffering, almost like a euthanasia spell. The Imperious curse, well, it's hard to put a positive spin on eliminating free will, but that harmonious, peaceful feeling that Harry feels in the Goblet of Fire before the suggestions come through, that may well be used to treat trauma, or to help people struggling with panic or shock. In fact, there are lots of ways that that part of the Imperious Curse could be used for good. Going back to dark wizards and witches, let's visit the 10th century, where we can find Morgana Le Fay, Merlin's nemesis and King Arthur's half-sister. Morgana was an extremely powerful witch, and a powerful practitioner of the dark arts. Also in keeping with the previous theory where these curses were first made for good and honourable reasons by healers, Morgana was said to be proficient in healing magic. So there's a chance she created these curses from scratch as the powerful dark arts user she was, but she could also have harnessed her knowledge of healing spells and weaponized them in her ongoing feud with Merlin. And speaking of feuds, I have a feud with the comment section on this video because I suggested Remus Lupin is maybe a bad person. The comments disagree, but I think the video makes a very compelling argument. So why not watch that video next and let me know whether you agree.